You check your account balance 11 days before payday. You make more money than you ever thought you would at this age, and yet almost all of it vanishes before the month is over. This chart tracks the percentage of Americans living paycheck to paycheck based on their income. When you isolate the data for individuals earning $100,000 or more a year, nearly half are waiting for their next deposit just to clear bills. That pattern holds at the highest percentiles. 40% of households earning over $500,000 report the same cash flow anxiety. We are culturally conditioned to believe that if you make a high salary and still feel broke, you are terrible with money. You assume you're overspending, or lacking discipline, or failing at basic adult responsibility. But the numbers tell a different story. If people at every income level are trapped in the exact same cycle, feeling broke isn't a symptom of personal failure. You are simply operating inside an economy optimized to consume every dollar you earn. For decades, the standard measure of financial stability was the 30% rule. As long as your rent or mortgage stayed under 30% of your gross income, the math of everyday life worked. This graph compares rent prices against typical wages over the last 20 years. Rents rose by 125%. Wages grew by 92%. When you account for inflation, actual purchasing power dropped by 4%. The 30% rule is no longer a realistic baseline. Today, millions of median income renters and homebuyers require nearly 40% of their take-home pay strictly to secure a place to sleep. Then comes transportation. Carrying auto debt has become an unquestioned requirement of modern adulthood. Americans owe a collective $1.69 trillion on cars. The average monthly payment for a new vehicle now sits at $767. That is a massive premium paid to banks for a machine that drops in value the second it leaves the lot. Before many professionals even apply for their first apartment or auto loan, they carry a penalty from the education system. The average borrower owes nearly $38,000 in federal student loans. That requires a monthly payment of $503, effectively acting as an immediate tax on every paycheck. This ledger shows how these costs compress a typical budget. Take an average individual take-home pay of around $3,600 a month. Subtract median rent, an average car payment, the standard student loan, and baseline health and utility bills. You are left with $567. That has to cover groceries, gas, emergencies, and living your life. The math leaves almost zero margin for error. While housing and debt squeeze you from the top, an entirely different industry is engineered to drain that remaining $500 from the bottom. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. When your income goes up, your baseline expectations go up with it. You upgrade your car and your neighborhood, and within months, the thrill of the raise evaporates into the stress of maintaining a more expensive normal. Tech companies heavily exploit this stress. A frictionless convenience app abstracts the price of an order, turning a basic transaction into a premium service. A $12 meal delivered to your door secretly inflates into a $28 expense once surge pricing, service charges, and delivery fees are calculated. Doing this a few times a week quietly bleeds hundreds of dollars a month. Then there are subscriptions. Digital services are deliberately priced low enough to escape scrutiny, creating an avalanche of recurring microcharges. The average consumer estimates they spend $86 a month on subscriptions. The actual average is $219. The charges are individually tiny, but collectively devastating. This is the two-front squeeze. Macroeconomic forces consume the bulk of your paycheck, while behavioral tech algorithms vacuum up the remainder. The result is a total lack of a financial buffer. Without a cushion, a single unexpected $1,000 expense, a broken phone screen or a car repair, forces reliance on 21% interest credit card debt. Regaining your agency requires exposing the invisible drains. You have to manually audit your bank statements and physically write down every fixed cost, identifying exactly what is leaving your account each week. Do not attempt to fix everything at once. Attack one specific leak at a time. Cancel the redundant streaming apps or end the food delivery habit, isolating that reclaimed cash. This flowchart illustrates the next step. If you plug $300 a month in leaks and automatically divert it into a high-yield savings account, you generate a $3,600 safety net in 1 year. Secure any free money from employer retirement matches first. Then target the biggest structural anchor, reducing your housing costs closer to that 30% threshold, even if it requires a smaller footprint. The modern economy is a highly optimized machine built to separate you from your income, but by systematically identifying and plugging these leaks, you can rebuild the barrier between a daily inconvenience and permanent financial distress.